Yeah, so today's an interesting day. We're gonna take a walk down memory lane where I was raised, where I was brought up. We in Winnipeg with my pops, Keith Holness. He's gonna provide us with the transportation to go visit these spots. This is a cool way to just kind of connect too, so it's pretty cool. Anyways, hang out. Okay, so we're just pulling up to Taché. We are somewhat downtown Winnipeg, and where I was born, so literally the hospital that I was born is the Health Science Center, and that is downtown Winnipeg, just off of Taché. So we're just pulling up. It is also known as the St. Boniface Hospital, so that's where we're at right now. Check it out. So you see that window right up there? That's the room. That was a joke. That definitely wasn't the room that I was born in. That was the hospital that I was born in, St. Boniface Hospital, Health Science Center in Winnipeg, stop number 1 on this trip down memory lane with my pops, Keith Holness. Yeah. Okay, so we're just now pulling up to the Forks, and we are in the parkade. Now, there's a little short story I want to share with you when we get to the top, but I wanted to just let you know. So we're just pulling up into the Forks in the parkade here in Winnipeg, Manitoba. I got a short little story to tell you. Okay, so we're here at the Forks. I'm actually gonna hop this gate. So this is what's crazy. It's at the Forks. We're at the Forks right now, at the top. This is the top of the parking garage. And this is where the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada had their first national event here in Winnipeg. And at this very spot is the moment where I was like angry and inspired at the same time, because when I was looking down at the concert that was taking place, and this is when Buffy Sainte-Marie was performing. So I'm up here watching Buffy Sainte-Marie. There's the largest gathering of Indigenous people in the history of Winnipeg happening right here. There's about 10,000 people, and I'm watching this concert and inspired and angry all at the same time, because we're here based on residential school survivors. I have 3 grandmothers, you all know that, and so they all went to residential school, so this story is very personal. And so when I'm standing up here in awe and I'm gazing down at what's going on and really taking it all in, when I turned around, there was a Chrysler 300 right in this parking spot, literally right here. There was a Chrysler 300, and on it, it said official Indian vehicle. And so that's why I drive a Chrysler 300. So I wanted to come over here and at least show you this spot and kind of touch down on the ground. This was a pivotal moment in my life. It really changed the direction of my professional career. So this is where the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada had their first national event here at the Forks, and that was a moment where I was right there, inspired, looking down at the crowd and taking it all in. So I wanted to give you that little story vlog in between this tour, this trip down memory lane. So stay tuned for the next clip. We're gonna actually go to the house that I was raised in next, so stay tuned. Okay, so this spot right here used to be what's known as a Max, and as of lately, Circle K has purchased all the Max around these regions. So this spot right here used to be a Max. My house is literally like way down that block, down the street a little bit. But this place right here, when it used to be a Max, my brother, Kevin Holness, used to take me to every time he'd be visiting for playing soccer. And we would go here, we'd buy a freaking box of Smarties and a Slurpee, and that would be like my bonding time with my brother, my big brother Kevin Holness, who taught me the meaning of cool. So I had to stop over here. Man, I used to ride my bike over here. You know, back in the days when you were just a youngin' learning how to ride your bike, this is one of the many places that I would come and stop. I had a lot of friends that lived in this area, and so we would cruise and we'd meet up around here. But yeah, this is kind of an interesting spot down memory lane where this used to be in Max, and I used to come here and get Smarties and a Slurpee with my big brother. So yeah, we're in St. Patel right now. Literally, it's hard for you to feel what I'm feeling because this is where I grew up, and these little spots may not mean anything to you, but y'all figured I'd do this anyways, give you a cool little story vlog. And yeah, this is a little trip down memory lane, so hang out. Damn, yo, this is actually crazy right now. It's like, it's so interesting how the mind works. You know, pulling up here, there's so many memories of my childhood that just come rushing into my mind right now. Like, this is where I grew up. This block right here, Ashworth Street. There's like a trailer park just down the street. I'll show you guys in a second. But yo, I learned how to ride a bike over here. You know what I'm saying? Like, I learned how to play soccer in this area. Like, this is pretty intense. Hold up a second though. I'm gonna show you the crib. You ready? Check this out. So there it is, 345 Ashworth Street. That is the house that I grew up in, like born and raised in. You feel me? Yo, this Peg City, man. There's a bunch of crazy people out here. But anyways, yo, 345 Ashworth Street. I was born and raised in this house, and we moved to Coombs Drive, which was closer to the school I used to go to. And there's a story attached to that I'll tell you guys in a little bit. But yo, I used to ride my bike up and down this block. Man, I used to play street hockey up and down this block. There's a few schools that I used to go and play soccer and train in. Like, man, this is crazy. I actually haven't been here in a long time, but that's the house that this guy was born and raised in. So, wow, I had to do it while I'm out here in Winnipeg because I really don't know the next time I'll be back in Winnipeg. So I thought this would be important, but here we are. Crazy. Right, so the interesting thing about this like back alley and the garage is like, you gotta keep in mind that when I was young, this was the guy who was rehearsing in the garage with his band at the time, and I was just a young, annoying kid running around getting into trouble. But that's how I was raised, and in the backyard is where I would like learn how to kick a ball and play soccer. And my dad used to always have to change the boards in the fence. My dad had a really cool garden in the back. So yeah, that's kind of important, a little important detail there. So we just pulled up in the back alley, and damn, so many memories. Crazy. And like, there's so much ice down this alley, we're already almost getting stuck, and that was one of the things that my dad always hated. And so that's part of the reason why eventually we moved to Coombs. And Dad, I wanted to ask you, like, when did we move from Coombs? Do you remember what year it was? When did we move to Coombs Drive? Don't remember the year, right? Crazy. So yeah, we ended up moving, and we're gonna go there next, so hang out. This was the church. That's the first church I ever went to. My dad tried to bring me to church when I was young, and like, that never really worked out, did it? Nah, it didn't. So right now, we're actually pulling up to the first school that I went to. We're on South Glen, and we're pulling up to H.S. Paul. And so H.S. Paul is where I had like my after school program. And yeah, this was the first school that I went to. So check this out. like driving down these streets, you know, I had a lot of friends that lived in this area, and at H.S. Paul is actually where I had a lot of like soccer practices, and it's where I played a lot of soccer growing up, to be honest. And yeah, so this neighborhood, there's a lot of childhood memories in this one little area. And in this area we're pulling up to is the second house that we moved into. This is like Coombs Drive pulling up. This was like a newer area, and this is the second house that I lived in. Yo, this is super awkward to be doing this, by the way. Like, people who live in there who could see this are probably like, what the heck is going on? But this is the second house, 27 Coombs Drive. It's the second house. I used to have a basketball net that I would pull out here, and I'd play ball all the time. And I have like some really good friends, Ashley Hicks, who used to live down the street. We used to hang out all the time. And like, this is where I really started connecting to, you know, more spirituality things. This is the house that I was in when I got my spirit name. So my mother put me through becoming a man ceremony, and where I got my spirit name. And like, the house is 7 houses from the end. So if you were to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I was the house 27, and I was born April 7th, 1987. Yeah, 27 Coombs Drive. I grew up in this. This is where I would say my teen years is where I grew up. And like, there's a park over there that we passed coming in. I used to go there and play a lot of soccer, do a lot of my own personal training. My dad took me there a couple times, and we would just kick it. So this neighborhood right here is where I was raised with my teenage years. It's the second house. So yeah, pretty intense. So where we're pulling up to now is Highbury, which is actually the second school that I went to. So when we moved to Coombs, we moved out of the boundary of H.S. Paul. So I had to switch schools. And so then I ended up going to Highbury, and that's where we're going to next.
Maybe. Kind of. Yeah, maybe. Maybe it did go in.
Yeah.
What did you do in the band?
I was trumpet player.
Really?
Yeah, man.
Damn.
So yeah, Highbury School, that was the second school I ever went to. And that's when things were good. No problems. I was just, you know, a young kid growing up, playing sports, hanging out with my neighbors, skateboarding, riding my bike around the neighborhood. And where the Scotiabank is right now used to be a CIBC. And it was that bank that I got my first account. And I've been with the same CIBC account ever since. So that was the first bank account my mother set up for me and my sister. And that was the first account that I ever had. So it was the first time I was introduced to like saving money, putting money away. She used to always update our checkbook, and she would show us our balance. And that was when she first introduced us to money and banking. And that was where my first bank account was. And I'm still with the same bank today, which is crazy. So now we're pulling up to St. Vital Mall. So this is where like me and the friends, we would try to pick up girls, and this is where we'd come hang out. This is where, you know, the after hours hangout spot was. St. Vital Mall. Crazy. Okay, so now we're pulling up to my first high school that I went to, Dakota Collegiate. So after I graduated from Highbury, that's when I went to Dakota Collegiate from grade 9 till about grade 10. And then I went to the University of Winnipeg Collegiate. So Dakota is definitely where I got into the most trouble. This is when I was becoming a man. I was, you know, mid-teens, getting older. And yeah, I just started getting into more trouble, trying to find myself. And I was still trying to figure out like how to find myself when my parents split. And so I was still kind of rebellious and angry over that. Yeah, so Dakota Collegiate, I spent a couple years there. And My dad moved, this was the first apartment he moved when they split and they moved out, was the apartment just across the street. So I used to spend a lot of time at my dad's place. So this spot right here, this door, and like up to this curb is where people would come out and smoke. And when I left this school and I ended up going to University of Winnipeg, one of my friends who still went to the school called me up one day and said, yo, my sister is hanging out with the wrong crew, with the wrong guys. And this was when like I came to the school and I caught this guy out here smoking cigarettes, and I just didn't want my sister to be negatively influenced. And we had this huge fight, literally right here. The whole school came out, the vice principal came out, and we're fighting in the middle of the street. There was one time where like he literally had his back on another car. The vice principal came out, tried to take photos, and I got expelled from even being on this property. I had a restraining order against it. So this school has crazy memories, good and bad. And yeah, so that literally happened right outside these doors here. It's Dakota Collegiate story vlog, trip down memory lane. Okay, so quick little story vlog here. Right here, I'm on the corner of Broadway and Yonge Street. Now, back in the day, this was the hood. Literally the hood. There was B-side and Mad Cow, and this was the first apartment I moved out in on my own with my roommate, AY Charles Beckley. This was the first apartment that I moved out in, and just down Spence Street, we would be walking, or just down Yonge Street, we'd be walking to the University of Winnipeg, and like that was the first time I was confronted by a gang, and like we had a little gang brawl that took place. AY got cut. Yo, it was so intense, and that was just a regular day-to-day going to and from school. So this is a very interesting spot on Broadway, where the first place I moved out, I was 17, 18 years old, and this is where I moved out and lived on my own for about a year, maybe 2 years, and then I moved to Corden Avenue, and that's where I spent most of my time, and then I ended up moving to Ottawa, and there's a long story in between that, but yo, this is the first apartment I moved out into. I had to pull up and show you that. And then we're gonna go to the last school that I went to, and this is the last stop on this trip down memory lane. So hang out, we're almost there. So right now we're on Portage, and so Portage, where we just were on Broadway, is literally a block distance. And so that's where I'd be walking to and from school. I've encountered, you know, gang violence, because this was the hood back in the day. And this was the school that I graduated high school from. It's also the school where I played the most basketball when I was going to the collegiate. And it's one of my most vivid memories. You know, it's one of those things where you have, you know, teachers or coaches in your life that leave a lasting impression. And so that basketball coach that really helped support me to play on the team, because I was a little bit older, because it took me a little bit longer to graduate, but he helped me apply to the school board for reasons why I should continue to play on the team, and we were successful at it. And so I had my most vivid memories of playing basketball here at the University of Winnipeg. I met a lot of interesting friends. One of my closest friends, AY Charles Beckley, he's still a good friend of mine today. And this is where we met, and that's why I moved into Broadway, because he was staying at Broadway and he was going to school here at the University of Winnipeg. And so a lot of vivid memories going to the University of Collegiate. And then when I graduated, I ended up transferring directly into the University of Winnipeg. And so this is where I started my post-secondary education, and I really started getting into physical shape. I would work out at the gym. We'd play ball every other day. And so this University of Winnipeg, I have vivid memories. I mean, it's where I graduated high school from the collegiate. So some of my favorite teachers are from here. And yeah, it's crazy to take a trip down memory lane and visit the university here. So that's where we are right now, at the University of Winnipeg. And yo, I have some vivid memories coming to the university, and some of the people I met, I'm gonna remember for the rest of my life, you feel me? So this is a trip. Okay, so to wrap this video vlog, trip down memory lane, to wrap this up, we're gonna end at the University of Winnipeg collegiate side. So right there's the collegiate, and this is where I graduated from. And this is where I also transferred into university. This is where my life really started to change. I really started to navigate what type of life do I want to live for myself. And yeah, I have some close friends that I met here at the University of Winnipeg. And then going to the university is where I met some special people. And you know, those friends I still am in contact with today, so I feel really grateful for that. But I hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, this story vlog of showing you the neighborhoods that I grew up in, the city I was raised in. I didn't even tell you or share with you a lot of my stories from the hood. You know, I've encountered a lot of violence in my life. I've seen a lot of things, and that's another story for another time. But I thought I'd wrap this whole video up outside of the University of Winnipeg Collegiate, at the University of Winnipeg, downtown, literally on Portage Avenue. So many memories are going through my mind right now. I appreciate you guys sticking around and watching this little quick story vlog of this trip down memory lane. I hope you enjoyed it. You know a little bit more about me and where I come from. You know about where the city I raised in, and this gives a whole other vibe to old school. You know what I'm saying? I'm literally standing outside of my old school, and I'm in my old school hood where I grew up in. So anyways, that's a wrap. Thank you for watching. Wash day, and I'll see you on the next video. By the way, Pops, thank you for driving me around. Thank you for taking me to all those childhood spots. I appreciate you. And I just wanted to thank you, Dad.